Oh, to be in your 20s. How marvelous and fun and enjoyable it can be and should be. However, there are so many pitfalls to not fall into financially in your 20s, and here are a few mistakes that I've made and many others have made. Learn from my experience, don't make these mistakes, and be better. Here we go. The first one is not knowing precisely what you want in life. And the cure to this is knowing exactly, pinpoint what you want to accomplish, be, and become in this life. Oh man, this is crazy. Recently I asked somebody, why'd you marry your spouse? And usually the answer is with about how they act, who they are, their character traits, what they do for them, things like that, right? When I asked, why did you marry your spouse? The answer was crickets. Absolutely nothing. Wow. Now let's bring it even a little more to home. If I were to ask you, tell me exactly the lifestyle you want to live on a day to day, what is it? If the answer is crickets, then I would encourage you to figure that out and really spend some time figuring out what you desire. Because if you don't know, you're going to hop in the car with somebody else and they're going to drive you around your whole entire life, and at the end, you're going to resent people and you are going to regret. My big thing in life is to not regret anything. So get in the driver's seat. Here is my positively perfect life. The life that I want. Exercising every single day. Receiving monthly rents from real estate. Living in the smallest structure possible, which I am doing currently. Choosing who, when, where, how, and why I spend my time, not having to answer to someone. And infusing positivity wherever I go, in every single environment, enriching, encouraging, and empowering others every single day in every single situation. And that can only be done if I work on myself all the time, every single day. I'm a definite work in progress, that's for sure. So that's mine. What's yours? It can be the type of car you want to drive, the type of home you want to own, but those are just physical things. Those can burn down. People think those things can be destroyed. So I'd encourage you to make it a little more under the surface. Like mine is infusing positivity in everybody and helping people achieve their fullest potential. But what's yours? That's the question. And figuring out the answer sometimes takes a lifetime. But nonetheless, it's a really, really enjoyable journey, and I'm very happy I'm on it. Next mistake, being ignorant and not managing money effectively. Jim Rohn, the great Jim Rohn, great late Jim Rohn, rest in peace, always said, ignorance is not bliss. What you don't know can hurt you. End quote. And I'll even end a little bit. Can hurt you and potentially and most likely will hurt you. Ignorance is not a good thing. Become an absolute expert in the difference between necessity, want, and desire. I need to eat every single day. I want to have Chipotle every single day. See the difference there? I can eat rice and beans, which doesn't taste as good as Chipotle, but it accomplishes the same feat of satiating myself. So you gotta break it down between what you need and what you want. And that, my friends, is very difficult, but very worthwhile over the trajectory and long term of your life. Next mistake, procrastinating and sinking funds. And no, I'm not talking about the Titanic here. I'm talking about a known expense that you prepare for in the future. So for instance, if you plan on buying a vehicle in the next 3 years, let's say, then you save up a certain amount every single month, putting into a fund, so when your vehicle is ready to be replaced, you buy it. Another example, buying pretty much anything you know you're going to need. This is not for something like food. You don't do sinking funds for food. You don't. Unless you're going out for like a special meal or something, then you can put money aside. But putting a certain amount every single month, preparing for when these things happen, like home repair. I pretty much know every single year I'm going to have to spend about $2,000 to $2,500 a year on repairing, maintaining, doing something to the home. So every single month, 200 bucks goes right into the account. I don't touch it. However, I don't need to stress about it because now I know when there's something needed, paint, anything, I don't care what it is. I'm ready for it, and there's no reason to be stressed out about it. Next mistake, not having a plan B financially. Thinking that the best case scenario is going to happen. Newsflash, it usually doesn't. And that would be having an emergency fund. An emergency does not mean vacation. Very different. Go back a step. That's a sinking fund if you want to save for a vacation. This is an emergency fund. Your motor in your car goes out, someone smashes one of your windows, something of that nature, an actual emergency. So a real simple calculation here is to add all your fixed costs, all your variable costs, multiply them up, get them onto a monthly. I usually do a 12-month average, so add the last 12 months up, divide by 12, figure out where your average is. Now multiply that by between 3 and 6, depends upon how safe you want to feel. I usually do about 4 or 5 months, just to be prepared in case something drastic were to happen in my life. Let's say it's $6,000, for instance, for 3 months of your life. Well, now you have a goal. Do $6,000 and prioritize all of your decisions until that is fully funded. That will make you have a safety net and make you feel way more apt to make risks and make decisions that you wouldn't usually make when you're in a survival mode. We're going from survival mode to thriving. Thriving is a lot better place to be. And yes, that might mean not going out a couple weekends. That might mean not buying a super expensive gift for someone's wedding. These are decisions you have to make. Again, needs, desires, and wants. Which one is it? Figure it out and make the appropriate decision. And prioritize what your future self wants, not just what you want right this moment. Because if I did everything I want right this moment, you guys, it would not be a good thing. Next mistake is looking at the dollars and cents of everything. Always looking at the financial perspective. Yes, it's a mistake. Because not everything we do can be knocked up and scratched up to dollars and cents, to money, to how much it costs. There are some things in life that money should not be in the equation. And I say that, and you're probably like, wow, Max, you just said last time, get your budget right. Yes, get your budget right, but that does not mean you have to stop or eliminate everything that's enjoyable or really necessary in life. It simply means to look at it a little more prudently. Like myself, for instance, I spend over $100 a month to go to what people would probably call a luxurious gym. Yes, it is very, very nice. They have towel service. They're warm towels. It's nice. There's a massage parlor inside and hair studio in the gym. Like, that's how awesome it is. And that's something I don't look at completely economically because I could probably go to a $15 a month gym and get the same workout. However, not everything can be added up to dollars and cents. The high and the emotional and mental and physical benefits I have from going to this place far outweighs the cost. And I probably could find a less expensive gym, and I have been a part of a less expensive gym. But here's the thing. I'm being consistent, and I have committed myself to exercising often. And that's preventative maintenance. That's actually going to save me in the long run for healthcare, hopefully. Hopefully there's no bust that hits me next week. However, I'm doing my best to have preventative care and preparing for the future because I think I'm going to live a long time. As I say that, who knows? But preventative care is so much better than reactive care. Reactionary stuff just doesn't work. And you have to really discriminate on what you believe is a good value and what you actually want to more or less put your blinders on when it comes to finance, because I put my blinders on and it actually is a very, very good benefit to the gym I go to. But you got to figure out which ones and what things in your life are worth more than the economic value. Next mistake is going hands off and letting someone else handle your retirement accounts. I've had this conversation so many times. So tell me about your retirement accounts. As financial coach perspective, and people usually say, "Oh, my employer takes care of that." And I literally think in my head, does that mean the employer is investing in crappy mutual funds? Does that mean they're investing in fill in the blank and they have no idea? Just not knowing is the issue. If you know, great. Then at least you have a little bit of autonomy over that. But if you just totally go hands off, you're in trouble. So what I'm really saying here is take some agency, take some responsibility in that, because it really is your future we're talking about, not your employer. Like for me, for instance, I do not participate in the employer 401k. And let me tell you why. This is a very unpopular opinion. Most personal finance people would say, invest in the 401k, get your free match, do the tax advantage plan. Great. I can go for that. I can definitely go for that. Here's the thing though. Have you guys ever heard of depreciation? The big D word? Well, in real estate, you can depreciate a certain amount of the purchase price of a piece of real estate every single year for a certain amount of years. Now, that takes away from taxable income, which actually does the same exact thing as what a 401k does. So, I'm just doing it from a different angle. And I've never been a fan of things I can't hold, the things I can't touch. Not because I don't like them, but because I'm not extremely familiar and extremely well educated about it. Do I understand how stocks and bonds work? To an extent. I'm by no means an expert. However, I know a hell of a lot more about real estate and actual physical stuff. And that is what gets me really excited about finance. And the cash flow that comes from real estate is something that is, I believe, a far greater investment over my trajectory, personally, my trajectory, because it's a monthly thing, recurring over and over and over and over again. I love the stock market. I love United States. I love the New York Stock Exchange. I love all of those. However, for my trajectory, I've realized that this is my best way of building wealth in the future. Because at some point, the homes are going to be paid off. And guess what? That is free cash flow coming in every single month. And unless you have a really good dividend portfolio, that does not happen. And I'm receiving the cash flow while still being able to depreciate the asset. That's the double whammy we're talking about. And that's why people who own a lot of real estate and own real estate companies pay almost no tax. They pay very little in taxes because they understand this depreciation thing. And not many young people understand that. They think there's only one way, and that's through the stock market. And I'm here to encourage you. There are many avenues, and this is one that I have committed towards. And the last point there is I'm very cynical when it comes to the stock market. There are too many corporate buyback programs. There are too many asset bubbles. And yes, real estate has asset bubbles as well. However, if I hold on to real estate, I don't actually see those asset bubbles because I'm going to get back on the up perm at some point. I just have very little faith in when that stock market bubble ends up popping or crashing or whatever in the future in 2020 is going to happen. I feel very insulated by physical space, literally and physically, or figuratively and physically, because I know this house is not going anywhere unless it burns down, I guess. Anyway, I feel more comfortable here. And then lastly, and this is truly the most important one out of everything I've talked about, and that is not investing in yourself, in your personal development. I read between 2 and 4 books a month. Now, are they J.R.R. Tolkien huge books? No, they're more so personal development, self-help, personal finance books that really help my mind grow. Because the reality is if you don't invest in your own development, if you don't invest in your own learning, especially after college, after university, your brain becomes very dormant and your routine becomes very, very stale. Is life just about waking up, going to work, going home, eating some dinner, and waking up again? No, life is so much greater than that, and I encourage you to read often and daily. One of my daily things is I read about 30 minutes or more every single day, and it helps me learn something new. Because the reality is, if you don't learn something new often, in my opinion, you begin to die. You begin to atrophy your brain, and you don't want brain atrophy. And this is the greatest gift you can give to the world, yourself. Developing into the best version possible to serve yourself, your family, and your fellow man. Mankind, your family, and yourself, when you can get all of those in unison, let me tell you, life is quite sweet. And even when there are speed bumps, when there are things that come into my path that are attempting to deter me, I have so much more resilience when I invest in myself often and for good amounts of time. It's not a 2 minute self care routine. 2 minute self care routine to be better. No, stop. Stop with that. If something is important, we invest our time in it. And I encourage you greatly to invest time in yourself, especially being young. Well, those are the mistakes that a lot of them I've made personally and I've seen myself, so I would encourage you to very much take those into account. What have you guys done? What mistakes have you avoided in your 20s, or what mistakes have you done and you want others to avoid? Again, serving your fellow man. That awesome thing. Comment below, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys later, making less mistakes, I hope. Yeah.